Hey kids, welcome back to some more science. Science is cool. We are starting a new unit. This unit is ocean critters, things that live in the ocean. There's a lot of cool stuff in the ocean. We're going to start off our unit learning about this thing on my head, the giant squid. Giant squid live super far down in the ocean. The pressure is really high and it's very dark. Scientists have sent robotic submarines down there to try to see if they can find them, while they're exploring other things. But when you're down that far, there's a problem. Mostly, it's really dark, and when you turn on the light, you scare off anything that you're trying to look at. So, needless to say, I haven't really seen very much of the giant squid. Giant squid aren't the only kind of squid out there. There's lots of other kind of squid that don't live quite so deep. So, scientists have sort of made a lot of guesses about this guy based on other types of squid. So this week, we are going to learn about squid so that we can learn about the giant squid. You're going to watch some videos, you're going to read some books, and then you're going to make a special cooking snack, a spaghetti squid.
Or you could make a bread squid or a string cheese squid with raisin eyeballs.
Also, you're going to make a little squid finger puppet. So, let's get started learning about the giant squid.
In the ocean's depths, two titans wage battle, the sperm whale and the colossal squid. Sperm whales use echolocation to hunt these squid for food, but even against this gigantic animal, squid can put up an impressive fight. Scientists know this because on the bodies of washed-up whales, they frequently find huge, round suction scars, emblazoned there by large, grasping tentacles. Ranging in size from this giant's impressive 14 meters to the 2.5 centimeters of the southern pygmy squid, these creatures fall into the group of animals known as cephalopods. There are about 500 squid species worldwide, and they live in all the world's oceans, making them a reliable food source for whales, dolphins, sharks, seabirds, fish, and even other squid. Indeed, squid themselves are fearsome ocean predators, but their most extraordinary adaptations are those that have evolved to help them thwart their predators. Squid, which can be found mainly in estuarine, deep sea, and open water habitats, often swim together in shoals. Being out in the open without anywhere to hide makes them vulnerable, so as a first line of defense, they rely on large, well-developed eyes. In the colossal squid, these are the size of dinner plates, the largest known eyes in the animal kingdom. When it's dark or the water is murky, however, squid rely on a secondary sensory system made from thousands of tiny hair cells that are only about 12 microns long and run along their heads and arms. Each of these hair cells is attached to axons in the nervous system. Swimming animals create a wake, so when the hairs on the squid's body detect this motion, they send a signal to the brain, which helps it determine the direction of the water's flow. This way, a squid can sense an oncoming predator in even the dimmest waters. Aware of the threat, a squid can then mask itself from a predator. Squid skin contains thousands of tiny organs called chromatophores, each made of black, brown, red, or yellow pigments, and ringed in muscle. Reflecting cells beneath the chromatophores mirror the squid's surroundings, enabling it to blend in. So when the muscles contract, the color of the pigment is exposed, whereas when the muscles relax, the colors are hidden. Each of these chromatophores is under the individual control of the squid's nervous system, so while some expand, others remain contracted. That enables countershading, where the underside of the squid is lighter than the top, to eliminate a silhouette that a predator might spy from below. Some predators, however, like the whales and dolphins, get around this ruse by using sound waves to detect a squid's camouflaged form. Not to be outfoxed, the squid still has two more tricks up its sleeve. The first involves ink, produced inside its mantle, Squid ink is made mostly of mucus and melanin, which produces its dark coloring. When squid eject the ink, they either use it to make a large smoke screen that completely blocks the predator's view, or a blob that roughly mimics the size and shape of the squid. This creates a phantom form, called a pseudomorph, that tricks the predator into thinking it's the real squid. As a final touch, squid rely on jet propulsion to rapidly shoot away from their hunters, reaching speeds of up to 25 miles per hour and moving meters away in mere seconds. This makes them Earth's fastest invertebrates. Some squid species have also developed unique adaptive behaviors. The deep-sea vampire squid, when startled, uses its webbed arms to make a cape it hides behind. The tiny bobtail, on the other hand, tosses sand over its body as it burrows away from prying eyes. The Pacific flying squid uses jet propulsion for another purpose, to launch itself right out of the water. Squids' inventive adaptations have allowed them to proliferate for over 500 million years. Even now, we're still uncovering new species. And as we do, we're bound to discover even more about how these stealthy cephalopods have mastered survival in the deep and unforgiving sea.
Giant Squid, Mystery of the Deep, by Jennifer Dusling, illustrated by Pamela Johnson, and with photos. Far, far away off the coast of New Zealand, a fishing boat floats on the ocean waves. It is a large boat, and it will stay out to sea for many months. The crew drops big nets way down deep. This helps them catch more fish. Then they pull in the nets. Today they get a big surprise. In one of the nets, there's something dark, red, and long, about 25 feet long. It's no fish, that's for sure. The fishermen know what it is. It's a dead giant squid, one of the most mysterious creatures in the world. They also know that there's one man who will be very happy to hear about this, but he'll have to wait. They still have many weeks of fishing. Chapter 2, Venice, Italy, March 1998. 3 months later, Neil Landman gets a call. Neil works for the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. He's an expert on squids. But it's late at night, and he's on vacation in Italy. Who would call him now? It's a friend from New Zealand. His friend is also a squid expert. "We have a giant squid," he says to Neil. "Do you want it?" Neil can't believe it. A giant squid? He's hoped for years to have one for the museum. Of course he wants it. It's no wonder Neil got so excited. The giant squid is a great mystery. It lives deep in the ocean, nearly a mile below the surface. There are no giant squid in zoos. No one has ever caught one alive. So not much is known about these creatures. We don't know for sure how long they live, how quickly they grow, how fast they swim, or whether they live together or alone. Every once in a while, part of a dead giant squid will wash up on a beach, but usually people find just a long tentacle or two. Long ago, people thought that these tentacles had belonged to a huge monster. They told stories about a monster called the Kraken. With its long arms and giant suckers, the Kraken grabbed ships. It pulled them under the water. It ate all the sailors. Today, we know there are no Krakens. There are giant squids, but they're not monsters. We know they don't attack people. A giant squid is just a regular squid, but much bigger. A giant squid is usually less than 1 foot long. A squid is usually less than 1 foot long. A giant squid can grow up to 60 feet long. A giant squid also has the biggest eyes of any animal. Its eyes can be as big as soccer balls. The giant squid has a short body called a mantle. This is where its brain and eyes and mouth are. But most of the squid's length comes from its 8 arms and 2 long feeding tentacles. The squid is a smooth swimmer. It does not need its arms to swim the way you do. Instead, the squid sucks water into its mantle. Then it tightens the muscles in its body to force the water out a funnel. This pushes the squid forward. Small fins on the side of the body help the squid to steer. It shoots through the water like a bullet. So here you can see the water comes in here and it gets shot out of there. Squid are cousin to the octopus. Everyone knows an octopus has 8 arms, just like a squid, but an octopus does not have the 2 extra long feeding tentacles. Squid and octopuses both belong to a group of animals called cephalopods. Cephalopods are strong and smart and fast. They have no bones in their bodies. They can squeeze into small spaces. They hide and wait for food. The giant squid's body is perfect for catching other animals. Rows of suckers line its arms. Each sucker has a ring of sharp teeth. The giant squid is fierce. It grabs fish with its arms. The toothed suckers sink into the skin. The fish cannot get away. Then the squid drags the fish to its mouth. Besides fish, giant squid also eats smaller squids and shrimp. Like other cephalopods, the giant squid has a beak in its mouth. A beak? Yes. This beak is a lot like a bird's beak. It's very sharp. A giant squid's beak can bite through a steel cable of a ship. The giant squid has only one enemy, the sperm whale. Far below the ocean waves, sperm whales battle giant squids. How do we know? Giant squids' beaks are often found in the bellies of sperm whales, and the skin of the sperm whale shows that the squid put up a fight. The squid suckers leave lots of scars on the whale, but no one has ever seen a battle between these 2 mighty creatures. There are many things we do not know about giant squids. Some smaller squids can change their color to blend in with rocks or coral. Can giant squids do that? We don't know. Other squids glow in the dark. Do giant squids? We don't know. Some cephalopods squirt out ink to confuse an enemy. Can giant squids squirt ink? Maybe, maybe not. It's still a mystery. Chapter 3, New York City, June 1998. Neil Landman wants to solve some of the mysteries of the giant squid, but most of all, he wants to see his squid. He paces back and forth in the airport waiting room. His whole staff paces back and forth with him. This is a real picture. The squid arrives in a huge plastic case. It is frozen solid. That is how the fishermen kept it so long. A truck takes the squid to the museum. Now the interesting work can begin. Neil starts to defrost it. He injects it with a chemical that will keep it fresh. It is a strong chemical. It is not healthy to breathe it in. Neil and his helpers have to wear face masks. 2 weeks later, they wash the squid with water. It is kept in a big tank. Then the real work begins. Neil measures the squid. He measures the squid. He weighs it. He examines it from the top of its mantle to the tip of its tentacles. And the museum takes pictures. The scientists will learn a lot from the squid. Already, Neil has found out something interesting. The squid weighs only 200 pounds and it's 25 feet long. At first, people thought it was a baby, but it's not a baby at all. It's a full-grown male squid. Most of the giant squids that scientists have seen were female. Neil's squid is the first full-grown male. That means that the female squids are much bigger than the males. Neil cuts out the squid's beak. He puts it in a jar. It is beautiful. It looks almost like a shell, brown and yellow. But why did he cut it out? Now he can learn more about how the beak works, and he wants to be able to show it to people. It was hard to see it when it was inside the squid. Lots of people want to see Neil's squid, people who work in the museum. Squid experts, students who are studying cephalopods. So Neil sets up times to show off the squid. The giant steel tank is wheeled out and the lid is taken off. Everyone steps back at first. The smell is very strong. But then the people crowd in to look. It is an incredible sight. The squid is famous. Reporters write articles about it in newspapers. There is something about giant squids that interests everyone. In 1999, the giant squid was put on display in the American Museum of Natural History, just as Neil had hoped. Hundreds of people came to see it every day. Now, kids from all over can learn more about this great mystery of the deep. Cooking project time! If you don't feel like cooking, here's 2 non-cooking snacks. 1, cut up bread into thin pieces and mash the top together to make a head. Or 2, shred some string cheese and then mash bread around the top to be the head. Add raisins, and you've got a non-cooking squid snack. Or, if you're a little more adventurous, get some hot dogs or veggie dogs and some spaghetti to make some spaghetti squids. Cut one hot dog or veggie dog in half. Then, for each one of these halves, count out 5 noodles and break them in half. That's 10 noodles, 10 legs. For each of your spaghetti squids, poke these 10 noodles into the flat part, the cut part of your hot dog. Then, drop your dogs into boiling water and boil until the noodles are soft. There you go. Spaghetti squids! Hooray!
Art project time!
You're going to need this template to make your squid art project. Take a screenshot, print it out. If you're at school, your teacher will have it for you. Here are the supplies you'll need to make your squid art. The template, which you should have just printed, some string or some paper to make the tentacles, crayons to color your squid, tape, and scissors.
Okay, let's get started on our little squid guy. The one I have here is red, like the ones we saw in the movie. So I've got some red crayons and yellow crayons, but if you plan on making your squid any color than that, you're going to want an assortment of crayons. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take your template and cut it in half, because I'm only going to make one squid, although you could make 2. I'm going to start off by coloring my squid. Now, I'm going to make it red, just like the squid in the movie, and it doesn't matter if I color in these lines, because I'm going to cut it out. Next, I'm going to color the eyes, and I'm going to make mine yellow. I'm actually just going to make one that looks just like that. Ta-da! And now I cut everything out. Okay, I now have 2 squid body parts and 2 eyeballs. Next, I'm going to need some legs. Now on this guy, I used just some scrap papers that I cut into strips. You could use the extra scraps from here if you wanted to, from each of your templates, to make legs. Or you can go get some more paper. I actually found some colored paper I thought would be pretty. I'm going to make legs out of this. And I need 10 of them, remember? 10. 8 of them are regular legs and 2 of them are feeding legs with those tentacly, suckery things on the end. I might try to make that. Let's see. Okay, I cut out 8 of the dark pink and then 2 of the light pink. That's my 10. But I also remembered I had some string here that I had gotten to be tentacles, because here I also did that too. So I have a choice. I think I'll use the string instead. So I could keep these as my feeding tentacles, or I could just use these. All right, so the next step is to get some tape. Actually, the next step is to turn it over. And then we're going to lay 4 on the white side. 1, so there's a little bit of an overlap. 2, 3, 4. And it's okay if they touch each other. We're just laying them there because now we're going to tape them on. I suppose you could use a glue stick or regular glue, but I'm going to tape them because I don't want to wait for it to dry. Ta-da! Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to lay those down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just tape them down. And then I'm going to add my string one. Stick that on there. Okay, so now I have that going on. And now I'm going to lay one on top of the other. And I'm going to tape the edges. Don't tape it all the way shut at the bottom. You won't be able to put your finger in. So kind of line the edge up like that. And just go around the edge. So it makes it stay together. Okay? I'm going to do that up here too. Lay it on there and then fold it over. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, down here. Lay it on the edge, line it up, fold it over. And then the same thing over here. Lay it on the edge, line it up, fold it over. So now it's stuck together and there's a hole in the bottom. Now I'm going to tape my eyes on. So I'm just going to lay those on there, right below the pointy part. Get a big piece of tape, stick it on there, and maybe even fold it over a little bit so they don't fall off. Ta-da! And now I have my little squiddy finger puppet. Doo-doo-doo. And if I want to make a friend for him, I have a whole nother template. You can make a whole bunch of little squiddies. Have fun.
something.
Hair.
Begins with a B.
Bagels. Bialys.
Bone.
Bone.
They've got no
Bone.
bones. They're invertebrates. No spinal columns. It's true they have no bones. Have no bones. And though they may be fast when they swim under the sea, on land they can't stop like you and me. And on land they can't shake like you and me. And on land they can't dance like you and me. Giant squid have very large brains, so it's likely that they're also really smart. They've got the largest eyes around, and I know how strange it's gonna sound, but they've got 3 instead of just 1 beating heart.
But you know what? The squid are missing something too. Right, it's bones. Want to sing about it? Let's sing.
They've got no bones. They're invertebrates. No spinal columns. It's true they have no bones. Have no bones. And though they may be fast when they swim under the sea, on land they can't tiptoe like you and me. And on land they can't twist like you and me. And on land they can't dance like you and me. That's right, on land they can't dance like you and me. Oh no, on land they can't dance like you and me.
I'll have the marinara sauce. Hold
Hold the bones.
Hold the bones. hold the rest of the octopus too.
Well, that's all I have this week on the giant squid. Giant squid are pretty cool. And you know what? Science is cool.